Association Chat will get started in just a second, but before that, let's hear from Blake Alvin at Human Factor for this episode's podcast tip.
Thanks, Kiki. One thing associations ask me is what should we talk about on our podcast? One way I answer this is to call on the ghosts of association Christmas past, present, and future. 1. The Ghost of Association Podcast Past. This is where the old saying, those who don't know their history are damned to repeat it, is crucial. Hearing tales of what worked for successful people and organizations in the past is always of interest. And industry vets are always full of great tales of the good old days. 2. The Association Ghost of Podcast Present. What is happening right now is happening right now and is affecting your members. There's nothing more crucial than delivering the audience up-to-date and accurate industry news in an easy-to-consume podcast. Who just did what successfully right now? How'd they do it? 3. The Ghost of Association Podcast Future. I don't think there's anybody in any field anywhere that would not like have at least a glimpse into the future, and talking about where the industry is heading always makes for great content. Unlike Scrooge, the associations have a newsletter that usually contains all sorts of topics to chat about on the podcast. But if your organization doesn't have a newsletter, or even if it does, this is a great opportunity to do some crowdsourcing. Now you have a great excuse to contact your members and ask them about their concerns, and who they'd like to learn it from. You can also contact industry experts and let them know that your members would love to hear from them. So don't be a Scrooge and go make some podcasts. For more information about Association Podcasts, tips and tricks, go to humanfactor.net.
This episode of Association Chat is sponsored by Fontiva at fontiva.com. Go check them out. It's good. The dancing's good, Seth. I love it.
Welcome to Association Chat, produced by Amplified Growth and Human Factor, talking about all things association, nonprofit, and anything else that pops into my mom's head. And now, here is your host, KiKi L'Italien. Better not screw it up, Mom.
All right. So from the mouths of babes, we are here. And before we get started, I do want to give a quick shout out to Association Chat sponsors Fontiva, Human Factor,
That's us.
and Amplified Growth.
That's you.
I know. Isn't it great? All these great people all coming together. It's so fantastic. Yes. And so we had over 100 people sign up to register for today's discussion with Seth. And Seth, oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Who is this Seth? You have to.
I'm getting there, Blake. Oh my gosh. So to say I've been excited about today's show is an absolute understatement. I have been reading and listening and just really trying to absorb everything that Seth's put out over the past several years, I don't know, over 10 years probably. And Seth Godin is an entrepreneur, best-selling author, and speaker. In addition to launching one of the most popular blogs in the world and making me feel bad because I don't post every day.
Shame.
I know.
Shame.
He's written 18...
I am throwing no shame at you.
Shame.
I'm doing it for myself, you know?
Shame.
That's on you.
He's written 18 best-selling books, including The Dip, Linchpin, Purple Cow, Tribes, which I have right here, you guys. I want you to know, dog-eared and everything, and what to do when it's your turn, and it's always your turn. TED speaker, founder of altMBA, and this year, in May 2018, Seth, you were also inducted into the Marketing Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Thank you. I guess I'm officially old now.
Break the call-in number.
Is that the way it works? I guess so.
They don't induct any 22-year-olds, that's for sure.
Now, I've noticed that. So I wanted to say, for anyone who's watching this live right now, you are able to dial in. You can phone in and actually ask your questions to Seth while we're on the show live. So the call-in number is 202-816-5363. 7.
And we'll be putting that up from time to time.
We'll be putting it up from time to time on the YouTube Live
Thingamajig
channel, Thingamajig. Yes. And so welcome, Seth. I want to get started because I know that I have you for a limited amount of time, and I want to get into the juiciest, best parts of it for people.
Let's go. Rock and roll.
All right, let's do it. So in your latest book, This is Marketing, you share why effective marketing today is different from the marketing that worked in the past. And, you know, with associations, I know that a lot of association executives look at marketing and, you know, one thing that association executives are accused of all the time is not being forward thinking enough. And so in a nutshell, what do you think marketers are still getting wrong about marketing today?
So I remember the old days of the Association of Associations, and I used to subscribe to the newsletter on newsletters. And I have a long history with the world of associations. They're good people doing good work. We have to begin by understanding that just as owning a factory has changed, running an association has changed. If you used to run a factory, your job was to get the people who worked for you to do what they did yesterday, but faster and cheaper. That industrialism was magical and you could crank it out. But today, most of what you do when you own a factory is buy stuff from other factories and organize and invent and create and connect. Well, when I think about associations used to have a finite membership group, a finite amount of space to hold that membership group, a finite amount of time to engage with them, and generally, the head of the association was vanilla in the sense that your job was to create a platform for your members. And it didn't matter what your association was, you were the person who organized that. And the people could change, the system didn't. But none of those rules are the same anymore. Mm-hmm. That just as marketing shifted because we got rid of 3 TV channels and have 1 billion YouTube channels, associations have changed because the way we can engage with people is infinite and abundant, not scarce and rare. Because the number of people who our association can touch isn't 100 or 1,000, right? It's millions. And that means that you can no longer be generic, that the association director has to have a point of view. Who's it for? What's it for? Where are we going? And so if people are criticizing association leadership, it's not often justified because they haven't been a leader of an association, so they should be quiet for now. But if you care about the work the association is doing, you have to be very clear about where you are seeking to take them. And if you can be clear about who it's for and what's it for, then we can have a productive conversation about marketing. If you can't, then it's just going to be a mess.
Yeah. You know, I think that probably is already a challenge for a lot of people because it has been, we've always done it that way kind of thing. We've always done it this way. And so people, they feel beholden. They feel like it's government light associations are, right? And so it's encumbered with bureaucracy. It's slow moving, slow to change. And so there have been a lot of people who say that the association model is dead. They say that, you know, associations are dying, that for-profits are going to sort of take over for what the associations are doing. I don't know that I agree with that.
I don't agree. I don't agree with that. Unless the association wants that to happen.
Right.
And I think there are some associations that want that to happen. They want to let themselves off the hook.
You think so?
But we need associations more than ever before. That's what Tribes is about.
Right.
The question is, who will choose to establish the culture, to say these are the rules, to say this is how we do things? You know, I am no fan of what Jack Valenti did. I think that Jack Valenti's impact on copyright and the culture wasn't positive. But there is no doubt that the MPAA had a point of view and used certain levers to create a certain culture, to cause a certain culture to exist. And every association has the ability to do that if it wants to. And we need to be connected more than ever before. And we know that generic Facebook connection, generic LinkedIn connection is insufficient. What we have to do is use tension and status roles, which I talk about in the book, to cause people to engage, to enroll in change. And as an association director, you might not be up for that. And if that's the case, then don't be surprised when your association fades, because someone who is up for it is going to be able to make change happen.
So one of the things that you talk about in your latest book, and that you also talk about in Tribes, is really it is that marketers have, I think it's a bigger mission than what a lot of them think of. It's beyond advertising. It's beyond trying to sell the thing, right? You're talking about change. And associations are all about change, or at least they should be. Ostensibly, that's where we started, right? We have something that we're trying to do for a profession, for an industry, for science. And so if there's somebody that's out there listening to this and they have this sneaking suspicion that they haven't been as creative or really pushed as hard as they can, but they don't know where to start, Seth, where do they start?
Okay, so one of the themes of my work and the altMBA, the school I run, is it's not that you don't know the right answer. It's that you're afraid that the thing you're going to do might not work. Because if you're okay with the thing you're doing not working, you can do science and you can try and try and try. So, every single person who's listening to this did not know how to walk when they were 3 months old. And by the time they were 5 years old, they did. How did they do that? By watching YouTube videos? By being taught how to walk? No. We get up, we fall down, we get up, we fall down, we get up, we fall down. And the next thing you know, we are walking a little bit and then we're walking more. And marketing today is so complicated and changing the culture is so complicated. There's no map. It's impossible for there to be a map. But there's a compass. And the compass is that direction. That's where we want to go. So if you are okay with failing in the small, you will figure out how to succeed in the large. And I can't help you become okay with failing in the small. You have to do that.
Hey, Seth, I have a quick question. But a lot of times I feel like, especially in our fast-paced culture, failing isn't necessarily that embraced. I want to stay in my lane, like you talked about earlier, stay in my lane. Don't rock this boat because, management, I don't want to rock the boat too much. We hear that in associations a lot, right, KiKi?
We do. Yeah. So what was your question?
My question is give me a trick on how to convince that executive director that he needs to take that risk. Have you encountered this? Do you have a special sleight of hand you use?
So my thesis is pretty clear. My thesis, first of all, you can't mention sleight of hand to me on live without me going like this, showing you both sides of the quarter, taking the quarter like this, grabbing it in my hand.
Fellow musician. All right, I'll do cards across later for you.
Okay, so
we know what that means, KiKi.
It's done. You're done.
Sorry. So the thing is, it's riskier to do what you're doing now.
Oh.
It is dramatically riskier to do nothing. That if you do nothing, I am certain you will fail. There is a 100% chance you will fail if you do nothing. So my point is, the safest thing you can do feels risky, but it isn't really. And so I'll give you an example, a silly example. If you send an email to 100 of your members asking them to do something, 94 of them aren't going to write back. 94 of them aren't going to say yes. Is that a failure? Because if you've done any direct marketing, you don't feel like that's a failure. You got a 6% response rate. That's a home run. So if you want to be a direct marketer, you can't walk around all day saying, I fail 96% of the time. You'll never send another email. Instead, what direct marketers figured out is it's a privilege to be able to interrupt people who want to hear from you. It's not really an interruption. And what an opportunity to learn how to do it better tomorrow. So they don't feel shame associated with a 94% response rate. It's a home run. So that is the trick. The trick is to say, my job is to explore things that don't work until I find one that does. And, there was a trade show association that was run by a friend of mine. And 10 years ago, I sat with her and we were talking about her conference, which is 3 days a year. And I said, here's the deal. If you can't figure out how to turn this into a 300-day-a-year conference, you're doomed. Because people just aren't going to fly anymore.
Right.
And because they were afraid, their conference is now irrelevant. Because they wasted this huge head start they had. To engage people every day, every week, to cause subgroups and cause digital conversations happen. And then, yeah, sure, if once a year people want to get together in person, they will. But just like the book people think somehow that they're in the dead tree business, they're not in the dead tree business. They're in the business of sharing ideas. And if Random House had realized that, they would have started Google 25 years ago. But they didn't, because they said, what we do is we turn trees into money. Well, that's why they hate the Kindle. Because even though the Kindle eliminates inventory problems and has a higher gross margin, it's not what they thought they signed up to do. And that shift in your head, you got to embrace the idea that the safest thing to do feels really risky.
I love that, because I think that, associations really do feel that a lot of times they're so risk averse. They're so afraid. They look for best practices,
white papers.
What's that? White papers. They want to have the case studies of how it's all been done before. But in a time when things are changing so quickly, you need to figure out how to embrace creativity, how to embrace failure, yes, and how to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and really trying to work through the fear.
So can I just take 1 minute while you're catching your breath here to answer Matt's question?
Sure.
Because Matt is asserting that paper book sales are up and ebook sales are down. This is a fine objection to make that doesn't undermine anything that I was just saying. But I need to point out a couple things. First of all, the reason that ebook sales have peaked is because ebooks suck. And the reason that they suck is because publishers don't want them to be great. And the pushing a different form of interaction is something that Random House doesn't want to do. So it's not happening because Amazon's not building it into the Kindle. And so it's not seductive. The reason that real book sales are up, and this is what every association is going to have to deal with, is this. When every cultural artifact begins to fade, the people who are really into it do it more, right? So as we start walking away, for example, from internal combustion engines, you're going to see more people driving old-fashioned convertibles around town, because toward the end, the people who are really into it get even more into it, but it's toward the end because the masses, the 25-year-olds, they're not buying a book a week. And that's a challenge. So the symptoms of these shifts in marketing always feel backwards until they go the other way. So sorry to interrupt you on that.
Oh, no, absolutely. Let's
interrupt away.
Let's go ahead and see if we can take this call.
There's no call.
There's no call?
No call? I don't see
somebody on my list.
The 202 number?
Yeah.
No, that's no call.
All right, never mind. Let's move on to my questions then.
Yeah, hit it.
So do you have advice for people who are tasked with being creative or innovative, as if you can come up with it on a dime, like, right, let's go be innovative. Let's lock ourselves in a room and be innovative on command, but who don't view themselves as particularly creative?
Yeah, well, it's just what we were just talking about. It's extraordinarily easy, actually, and super difficult. My friend Isaac Asimov, before he died, published 400 books. How can you possibly publish 400 books? Well, what he said was, every morning at 6:30, he sat down at the typewriter and he typed until noon. And the deal was, it didn't have to be good. It just had to be typing. Mm-hmm. And if your brain knows that you're going to have to type anyway, it'll gradually improve what you're doing. So if you say to your team, we're going to sit down and come up with the 40 worst ideas we can possibly come up with, you will have no trouble getting started. You will outdo each other. And somewhere along the way, you know what will happen? A really good idea will slip in there, because you just can't keep coming up with bad ideas all day long. Mm-hmm. The mistake we make is we say, we're going to have a meeting where we're going to come up with perfect ideas. And that's impossible. So instead, what you've got to do is, someone asks you to be creative, when someone asks you to write, simply do that work and be as bad at it as you can possibly be, but commit to doing it over and over and over again. And if you do that enough, then it's going to work.
I love that, because you're also working past that fear we were talking about earlier. You're training yourself to actually get into that space so that you can come up with those ideas.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blog every day because it's good. I blog every day because it's the morning.
It's your morning workout?
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Like I go to the gym sometimes and do like one set and leave, but I just do it so I'm there. So I don't fall out of rhythm.
So what about the role of curiosity? One of the things that we talk about a lot on Association Chat and in the community is about developing curiosity. And how do you view curiosity in identifying those areas in which we need to lead or help create change? I mean, what role has curiosity played in your own life? Those are two questions.
Okay, so I think the ability to say, why did that happen? Why did this person quit the association? Why did this person sponsor our conference? Why did this person not take notes in the meeting? Why did this person do this? Why did this? If you can keep asking yourself that question, you will start to understand human nature. But it requires making assertions so that when you ask the question, you have to acknowledge there is no guaranteed answer. There's an assertion. Oh, I assert they dropped out of the association because 3 people on their board are angry with me because I didn't invite them to my Christmas party. That's an assertion that can be tested over time, right? And so where we fall down, because no one taught us this in school, is in making our assertions. Why is it that way, right? Why is it that there's a revolving door at the airport, even though people have suitcases? Make an assertion as to how that happened. Follow up on the assertion, figure out if you did a good job, repeat.
Adele has a really good question here. She says associations, require buy-in from everyone, which stymies creativity. How do you address that issue?
Love this question, and I question its premise. Do not believe associations require buy-in from everyone. I think what you need to say is, we're going over there. Who wants to come? The Pilgrims did not have buy-in from everyone. The ones who wanted to come got on the boat, and the ones who didn't stayed back. That when I first started going to the Momofuku restaurant in New York City, I don't eat meat. And we were early customers of theirs. And I'd sit there with my family and I'd say, can you make us a Brussels sprouts with no bacon? And they would say, sure. And once they got popular, we asked them and they said, no. I said, what do you mean?
What?
They said, we don't like people who don't eat bacon. And so we left. And that was brilliant. It was brilliant because it's not a diner. It's not a diner that sells something for everyone. It's a diner that sells a restaurant that sells a few things for a few people that they would cross the street to get, period. And if you're a vegetarian who doesn't eat bacon, don't come. Thanks very much. You can go down the street. And that act is the only hope an association has. If an association says everything we do here has to be by unanimous consent, you might as well shut down today.
Right. And I think so many associations do, right? They make that mistake of trying to please everyone instead of really focusing in on those they're serving and those they want to serve for the purpose of what that organization is trying to do. Marjorie says, you can't please them all. Find those who are focused on serving and go. Others will either come or are not meant for you to serve directly. Yes. So, and there's a big amen, Seth, down there. Yes. Nice. Lots of people.
But the thing that's in the book about status roles, and if you don't want to read my book, go read Keith Johnstone, 1964, a book called Impro. Status roles are the thing that associations have. They don't have money, but they have the ability to confer status. That's what you sell. Insiders versus outsiders. Do you want a seat at the table? If you want a seat at this table, the cost is being part of this group. And that's why you need a point of view. That's why you need to make assertions, because you as the association director get to say, who will I confer status on? And what actions do they need to do to receive that status? Because that's what motivates almost everybody who's in your association.
Yeah, lots of people who are getting excited about this topic and starting to chime in. It's true for all startups, I see. It can't be everything to everyone. This is really hard for associations, Amanda says. They want to serve everyone in the profession or industry. There's a real resistance on focusing on serving just some in the profession or industry. Yeah. So let's talk about associations that realize that perhaps their mission or the people that they serve or, the industry that they are serving, that it's changed so dramatically that there's a shift. I mean, they might have programs and products and events that are built around an industry that has shifted so dramatically that they need to completely reimagine what it is that they're all there for. And somebody who's taken that job, probably doesn't think that that's even an option that's on the table for them. So say you're an executive director in that position, you're a CEO of an association, you have this sneaking suspicion that that's what's happened. What now?
Well, so I'm going to answer a different question first, and we'll shift a little bit. The different question is about unbundling. So if you go to the bowling alley or the movies, you got to eat their popcorn. You got to drink their soda or beer. You're not allowed to bring in outside food because it's bundled. You get mediocre food if you want to bowl. They go together. But the internet unbundles everything, which means that if you as an association are offering a mediocre item that I can get somewhere else better and cheaper, you should stop offering it, or you should offer it better. Because you can't bundle like you used to. You got to separate the thing. And that's a very hard pill to swallow. But guess what? Your members have already swallowed it. Your members are already taking what they take from wherever they take it. So that's the first half. And the second half is, let's remember the purpose of the association is to confer status on a select group of people in exchange for creating forward motion and connection. And if the group of people you are conferring status on don't want it anymore, don't deserve it anymore, or can't afford it anymore, you should use the small head start you've got to confer status on a different group of people, to figure out a different group of people that want to be seen, that want to be understood, that want to be connected, that's adjacent to your group. And if you can figure out how to make them feel special, then you have a shot. So my mom was one of the people who ran the Albright Knox Art Gallery in Buffalo, which wasn't an association, but it's a nonprofit. And the thing about art museums is the typical person was 50, 60, 70 years old. How are you going to get the 25-year-olds to come? Because guess what? The 65-year-olds aren't going out anymore at night. Well, what she helped create was a monthly party inside the museum by invitation of the 29 to 35-year-old cool kids. And a lot of people weren't invited. And if you didn't get invited, you desperately wanted to be there. And if you did get invited, you had to go to show that you got invited. And I don't know if it's still running, but it ran for more than a decade. The people who were going weren't going to see the Clifford Stills and the Jasper Johns. They were going to see each other.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you guys do.
Yep. And it's status. It's this opportunity to do something different. Before we actually showed up for the show today, people were sending me questions to ask you, questions that they wanted to get your feedback on. And one of those came in from Ron. And he said, can you create, this is a request, okay? This might be work for you, Seth.
We'll see what happens.
Can you create a companion piece to This Might Not Work? The lessons learned from your teams and your clients' false starts and stub toes and errant turns are invaluable.
Well, that's super nice.
I know.
It would be great if Ron would make one first.
Yeah. Yeah. Go, Ron. Now it's on you.
I'm not the only person with a printing press.
That's right. That's right. So I want to talk about online learning. For associations, another big piece of what they try to do is educate. And so, and obviously there's been a lot of change in this domain. You have challenged assumptions about what we think of as education. And you've created this popular altMBA workshop, which I've heard so many people talk about lusting to be a part of it. I remember somebody in the event space who was bragging about the fact that she was going to go through it and to wish her luck. And it was like this big celebratory thing. And it's all about, inspiring and educating leaders. What can associations learn and apply to their own educational offerings based on your experience with altMBA?
Okay, so the first one's the unbundling, which is I don't care that you're teaching a course. If I can get it faster, cheaper, for free on YouTube, I'll take it there instead. So you don't have a monopoly. Number two, traditional education is based on compliance and it's based on scarcity, proving that you finished to get a piece of paper that gets you status. So you pass the plumbing exam. Now you have a piece of paper. Now you can be a plumber, because most people don't have the piece of paper. Being a plumber is more valuable than without it. So if you're able to confer status in writing, you can do traditional education. Get enough points, you get this thing. This thing gets you the other things you want. You could be the accreditor. You could be the person who establishes this is it. But I don't like calling that education, because it's not really about learning. It's about scarcity. If we're going to teach people to actually learn something new, it's going to happen because they did something, not because they heard us on a video. And they don't need a test. They just need to know that they learned it. And we don't have to have scarcity. If we don't have a piece of paper that's accredited, we can have abundance. We can say lots of people can learn this, right? So if you think about how does a pop 40 song end up on everyone's lips and we're all singing it? There was no test. There was no tuition. People enrolled in the journey to learn the song. The more people know the song, the better. It's not about scarcity. It's about abundance. So if that's the kind of learning you're trying to do, then you need to think deeply about what online learning could become. That's what we're doing in the marketing seminar. That's what we're doing in the altMBA, which is we're saying the work you do is more important than what Seth said in a video, right? The work you do, the group work, the things you ship, that's how you will become the person you seek to become. And we're seeing this happen in lots of little places. The vast majority of education is still about accredited test and measure. You can't become a doctor any other way. But I think it's changing, and it's changing really fast.
So I've got a question over here I want to ask you from someone who is in the chat. And then I also have a caller that I want to pick up. So let's go with Kim's question. What about people who don't care about status?
Yeah,
Are there people in this? Yeah. Are there people in associations who are like that?
Yeah, she's misunderstanding what I mean by status, because I'm not being as clear as I could be about status. Status does not mean an Hermes scarf. Status does not mean who has more money. Status could be 1,000 little tiny things. And you don't know anyone who doesn't care about status. Everyone does. That it's who eats lunch first. It's who's in, who's out, who's up, who's down, who saw this, who didn't see this. What, you mean you didn't see that? Why do I need to keep up with breaking news? Breaking news is not up to me. Breaking news will be fine if I don't pay attention. But if 2 days from now, someone says, didn't you hear about this? And I say, no, my status goes down. So status is 1,000 little tiny things, not just who wins the best Oscar, the best actor Oscar. One of the reasons, for example, that we want to make sure we use commas, semicolons, and periods properly in a memo, even if someone would understand it if we typed it like a text, is if we write like an illiterate person, our status will go down. So I'm not buying the fact that people don't care about status. It just comes in a million little flavors.
Right.
Do you have I would like to hear, before we do the call, one of your best success stories where you turned something around, Seth? An organization maybe you worked with?
I hope that there's more than one. You're talking about the one with the eyeglasses?
Sure.
The story is probably too long to tell in detail here, but the short version is this. Everyone over 50 needs reading glasses sooner or later. And there are 100 million people in India who need them who don't have them. And I was working with a nonprofit called Vision Spring that exists to sell reading glasses to people who, for $3, who need them so they can be productive for the next 20 years of their life. And the short version of the story is I'm standing out in 100-degree weather watching people who have money in their pocket, who are old enough, who don't have glasses, who need glasses, come up to the front, and they take the eye test. They can see they can't read. And they say, here, try on the sample glasses. They can read. Okay, come to this table. There are 10 kinds of glasses to choose from. Which one do you want? And 2/3 of the people bought nothing.
Wow.
They bought nothing. And I'm standing there thinking, I got to fix this. I don't know how. And it took me an hour of thinking. I didn't do anything. I just thought. And then I changed one thing, and I doubled the percentage of people who bought glasses.
All right. I don't have a drum roll. What'd you change? I have clapping ready.
I got rid of all the sample glasses, all 10. And you just had the one now. Mm-hmm. And we said, here's the sample pair. Can you see? And they said, yeah. And we said, all right, now you have a choice. Give us $3 or give us back the glasses. Which would you prefer?
Yeah.
That's desire to avoid loss, not desire for gain. Now, an upper middle income American doesn't want that. An upper middle American likes shopping. But if you've been poor in India for 10 generations, shopping is not an option. Shopping is not fun. Shopping is not what you want. Shopping is a threat because you might be wrong. But avoiding loss is what got you here in the first place. Mm-hmm. So the practical empathy here is, I don't know what you know. I don't believe what you believe. I don't want what you want. And that's okay. And that last part is at the heart of modern marketing, because you cannot possibly change people or serve people if you insist that they're like you.
So Layla says, I'm at the tech conference. This is the Association of Associations tech conference happening right now. And the ribbon game is off the charts.
The ribbon game?
It's good to, talking about, it's really talking more about going back to a more traditional sense of status. Like, hey, I'm all of these things. You're piling on the ribbons on the
I see.
The badge.
I got it right, where it goes down to your knees.
Let me go ahead and get this caller, because I think we actually do have one right now.
It's Adele.
This is Adele. All right.
Adele.
Hi, Seth. I just wanted to see if you could possibly provide an example of a few brands that you think are mastering the marketing game now, that are doing great work, that are figuring it out. Yes.
Okay. So every time I pick a brand, then they fail. So.
Oh, geez. Let me get my stock out of it really quick.
People are over on this side. They're crossing. Please, Seth, don't mention me.
Right.
Please.
Don't mention Amplify Growth.
I will pick a few that, but here's my basic theory. My basic theory is, if you see a brand built in the last 10 years that's succeeding, it's succeeding because of the ideas that are in the book. But for example, what does Tom's Shoes sell when they sell a pair of Tom's shoes, which have a bigger logo on them than any other shoe women wear? What do Christian Louboutin shoes sell when they sell a $600 pair of shoes with red soles? What is the purpose of the red sole exactly? What did Nike do when they sent a message via a story to its worldwide audience when they signed up Colin Kaepernick? What did Scott Harrison do when he raised $250 million in a totally new way for charity? It's all the same. It's practical empathy, status, tension, affiliation. I don't believe what you believe, but here, look at this. Does this help you become the person that you want to become? Right now, it's a Tuesday. There's probably a line out front of the Supreme store where for $75, you can buy a t-shirt that's worth $4. But it's not worth $4 because you get a story with it that's worth $100. What is that story? Or the last one I'll tell you is, an hour ago, I was at the drugstore in town, and they, yes, it's true, are selling CBD oil for dogs. Here's the deal.
I don't even know what that is, but it's funny.
It's not for anxious dogs. It's for anxious dog owners.
Right.
Because the act of giving the eyedropper to your dog makes you relax, which, guess what, will make the dog relax too.
Yeah. Huh. Excellent. Thanks, Adele, for calling in.
Thank you.
All right. So when, and I have to, we've got 2 minutes. So you guys, we got to get as much brilliance from Seth as we possibly can right now. Okay. So when we're looking at what's going on with associations as far as their learning, their education, I want to turn our view to conferences and events, the experiences. Okay. Because certainly there is more competition now. I hear about all the time that these trade shows and these professional societies that used to be the only name in the game now have all of this competition and are struggling and trying to figure out what to do. What are your thoughts on what's going on there?
You're only giving me 90 seconds. This is the
I know, man.
We can go longer. We have hard drive space. Yeah. We have the space.
I have been to more trade shows and conferences than anyone on this call. I can guarantee that because I done it for a living for 30 years. If you go to seths.blog/rider, R-I-D-E-R, at the bottom, I have 4 blog posts that I have written about how to organize a conference that works. That range from, please do not have tables for 10, because they were invented to make caterers happy, not attendees.
Thank you.
All the way to understand what this event is for. Because guess what we don't need? We don't need to go to the expense to go to a building with other people to be alone. And that is the old model of a conference, that you can go to a conference and be socially acceptable the whole time and meet no one and change your mind about nothing. That's the old model. But guess what? We can do that at home now. And so the new model is you have a point of view, you make people just uncomfortable enough that they don't leave, but instead deal with the tension of moving forward by engaging with others, by engaging with ideas they're not comfortable with, by creating experiences that they will remember 6 months from now, because when you do that, next year they come back. And that is what's missing from almost every conference I go to. If you are in a convention center and you're lining people up with tables and chairs and the badges where their names are sorted, I could go on for hours. Yes, you can check a box and you made the caterer happy and the local organizer happy. That's not what a conference can be, and you can do better.
Thank you so much.
We can do more.
You can do more, and that's really and Seth is charging us to do more, right? I love that.
Except for free, I'm charging you to do more.
For free, you're charging.
No, you're gonna go buy his book. Go buy his book.
I love it. We all have to go buy his book. Thank you, Seth, for joining me on Association Chat, for joining all of us, sharing your wealth of wisdom. It's been absolutely just amazing, and I really appreciate it.
That was fun. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Don't make a ruckus.
Thank you. Yes.
Bye-bye.
All right. So for all of you watching, thanks for joining this interview. A special event is coming up in January. The only way that you're going to find out more about it is by going to associationchat.com and clicking on blog, and checking out what I just posted there today. You've got to go check it out and find out what's going on. This is the beginning of the Be a Creator Without the Risk series and program launching in 2019. And it's a collaboration with Adele Sears of When and Now. And for more information, visit associationchat.com website and click on the blog. Can you believe it, you guys?
Blog.
Seth Godin, absolutely amazing. All right, close us out with the kid, Blake.
Where's that kid? Let's push this
Where
button.
Where is that kid?
Let's push this button, and this one, and bye.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to Association Chat, produced by Amplified Growth and Human Factor. For more information on Amplified Growth, go to amplifiedgrowth.net. And for more information on making podcasts for your association, go to Human Factor at humanfactor.net. To hear past episodes, go to the Association Chat YouTube channel and subscribe. See you soon!